Alright, welcome everybody. Kathy Arbor here, and today is Watercolor Tuesday, and I'm going to be doing some fairies. I've been inspired by Iris Combat new book. Wonderful artist, very creative. She does have a Instagram and a YouTube channel by her name. This is her sketchbook, and it just gives you a whole lot of inspiration to try something yourself. She has some really unique characters in here, and it just goes to show that anything's possible in making a character. There's no wrong way of doing one. It's whatever you find that's pleasing to you is the right way of doing it, basically. So I thought I would do a watercolor one, a little more, not as scary looking, and we'll watercolor and ink it. So I've gone ahead and drawn it, and there is a traceable for all my members, and if you're interested in becoming a member and supporting this channel, which would be very much appreciated, there are quite a few other downloadables for the first level, which is artistic seedlings, and then there's 2 higher levels, and you can find out more about that if you click on the join button. And if you don't see that, if you're using an Apple product, go in the description below and there is a link for you. Hey Janet, good to see you. We're doing a fairy today, so this is the one I made up. It's a little fairy on a pumpkin stem, and she's kind of camouflaged. Hey Kathleen. So check out your in the community tab for members, and you'll find that downloadable for you, so you can paint along if you want. Just a little bit of show you what we did last week. So we did this chicken in Thursday's stream. This was fun and very very easy to do. It wasn't very difficult, and it's all done on a file folder. So we're going to I'm going to fill the rest of the file folder with loose papers of art that I've done for the month. And that was the first one we did for September. So I have a bunch of bits and pieces of art that I'm going to be adding to this, and that was the last one we did. So we'll be doing a new one for October on Thursday, so hope you'll join in. Thanks, Cindy. Glad to see you all here. So I printed it out first to see, and then I just traced it in with pencil. So you can trace them onto whatever paper you find you want to do. It can be watercolor, could be, this is just sketchbook paper. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to watercolor it, and then I'm going to do a bit of inking over top of it. So staying in the fall colors, I guess you could say, I'm going to be using probably greens, golds, and a little bit of red or orange. I'm just going to spray these first, just a bit of clean water. I'm going to clean my palette off though. Sometimes I keep the palette, sometimes I clean it off, depends. There is gouache on this one, that's why I'm going to clean it off. We might get into some gouache with this one, I don't know yet. I do like the ability to go over top of something with gouache though. I find that inspiring. You know that you can either repair something, or if it's something that you forgot to put in, you can go back with gouache and put it in. So I'm not a purist as far as watercolors. I just do whatever I want. It's my book, my journal, I can do what I want with it. It's just experimenting. People were speculating that it was done on a piece of wood. That is how good it... Oh, thanks, Kathleen. That was just a hog bristle brush that made this look like wood. So there was really no special technique, just the fact that it was a watered down acrylic and a bristled brush which made the streaks. It's fun. Just experiment. You'll never know what you're going to get. So I'm not sure if I want to put a background on this one or leave it as is. I can always put a bit of color in later if I want. Because it's going to be fairly dark. I'm going to make this fairy kind of wood-like. So I'll be putting a lot of pen work in her skin and stuff. And she's got leaves for her wings. And I'll do a little more details with the ink. So I'm going to get out a number 4 and let's see, a number 8. These are the silver black velvets. I like them. There's a few others that I use too. These are fairly economical for a beginner, and they don't hold a whole lot of water. They hold just, I find, just the right amount. You can get into your sable or squirrel, that type of thing. They do work differently, so if you're thinking of getting into those, you kind of have to play with them a bit because they do hold different amounts of water. So we will start off with, I like to start off with the lightest colors, and this is going to be kind of a ochre color with a bit of green and maybe some umber in it, the stem that it's sitting on. And then I think instead of the typical orange pumpkin color, I think I'm going to do this one in maybe greens and creams, kind of a little bit different. So first I want to find, let's see, a raw, you could go ochre or a raw sienna would work, depending on how much. I think I'm going to go with a raw sienna for this part right now. This will be for the stem. And I want some water in my brush. I'm going to start off light. So just a lot of water in my brush, and then just a little bit of the sienna. And I'm going to go just dry on, or wet on to dry. I'm not going to wet the area. This is also a sketchbook paper, so it's not watercolor. So you do have to beware of applying too much water to these sketchbooks. And if it's got a lot of sea in it, that's fine for this, because it's a gnarly kind of wood. The tops of pumpkins are kind of twisted and uneven, bumpy sometimes. Sometimes they've got green going in it too, or umber. This is an old pumpkin leaf that's kind of dried up, so I'll just put a little bit of this same color on this. You can make yours as colorful as you want. Really, it's up to you. A little vine here I'll put in. Hey, Jilly. Might be a little bit darker in areas, maybe along the top, a little darker. All right, and then for her, I'm going to keep her face fairly light. So I'm just going to put the same color on her face and her ears. And then her body's going to be darker, but and then we'll put other colors on her. Sorry if you heard my son talking on the phone. Okay, so just basic. Hey, Lori. And the wings, they're gonna be leaves, so fall leaves, and they could be whatever type of leaf you want. Make it up. I think I'm gonna put her wings a little brighter because it's fall. So I'm gonna add a little bit of red. I'm just gonna let it flow in there, and then maybe some yellow. Mix that with the umber a little bit. Maybe a little, just a tad of green, just a bit. A little bit of orange, just along the tips. I can pick up some or let it bleed, whatever you want to do. Streaming must use Facebook servers or something because it was dead. Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about that actually, so you weren't alone. Now, the stems are going to be a little darker, so you can either use the same color you were using, or you can add a little bit of different degree of color, like a stronger color. I'm just gonna make a little darker around the bottom. I'm just going to wisp it up. And maybe it's twisted. Sometimes these pumpkins, they look twisted, the stems. So let's just do that. And it's going to be a little darker underneath this fairy. And we'll keep twisting it up here. A little darker around the fairy. This is wet into dry. Not too worried about the fairy's fingers and stuff, because those will be done in pen work. And then I'll just add a little bit darker underneath this old crinkled leaf. I'm going to add a little bit of that red in there, just a bit, not much. I don't want it too bright. More or less on the underside, the veining area. Hey Lena! There's a printable for you. If you want to play along. Crazy thing is that when stuff like that happens, it should show us just how vulnerable. Oh, yeah, exactly. And a little bit of umber. You could add some more darker areas. I'm just going to go along the bottom here because it would be fairly dark. Just spotting more or less. Just giving it a little bit more depth by shadowing some of these. Maybe under her. Let that dry a bit, and maybe some around the top parts. Make it a little darker. Alright, I'm just going to give a little bit of shadowing under her arms here, same colors. bit in her ears and her eyes. The sockets of her eyes will be darker. And just a little bit under her nose. And then a little bit, she's kind of got stick hair. You make up whatever you want in this. You can have them part bug, you could have them part vegetation, whatever you want. That's the fun thing about making these fairies. There's no wrong way. You just let your imagination go wild. So really I've only been using the raw sienna and burnt umber and the yellows for the wings. But yeah, just play with it. Thanks, Lori. All right, I'll bring you guys in a little bit. Way you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to do the pumpkin next. And I'm going to wet it first because I want it kind of, and I'm only going to do certain sections at a time because this is sketchbook paper, so it's going to soak in and I think I'm going to use, let's see, permanent sap green, a little bit of this brownish color to dull it down, and I'm just going to drop it in more or less blotchy, so let it spread out however it wants. Usually you see ones like this, they have kind of speckles down the center part of where the fold of the pumpkin is, like in the ditches, I guess you could say. Okay. You can vary the how much you want in there. Now this is dirty water, but I don't mind it because the pumpkin just adds a little more to the pumpkin. So if you add some red to your green, it'll dirty it up. So it's wet paper. That way you don't get a really hard edge. You'll get some, but depending on how wet your paper is. So this is drying already. Concentration in the center here. Okay, and then we'll dry that too, because it's fairly sopping wet. Alright, now I want a little bit darker in here, so I'm going to put a little bit of green on some of this. Lighter. I'm going to basically put a little bit of a glaze over top of this stuff that I did. The lighter areas. That'll just add to the stem. And then I'm going to take some of this Green Appetite by Daniel Smith. It's got a lot of granulation in it, and it separates into a brown, which is awesome. And I'm just going to dab that over top here and there, more or less in the center around the stem. And a few to give that a little bit more and then you could even add it to some of the bottom areas, speckle it, just dab along the bottom here just to get that even darker. And put a little bit of this going into the leaf, the veins of the leaf, just a bit. And a little bit in the vine things, whatever they are called. Don't have to do it all, but just a few dabs here and there. A little bit of shading. Just around those ditches of the pumpkin. Yeah, everybody does the orange pumpkins. I thought it'd be kind of cool just to do the other ones. Now, let's see, what else can we do here? I'm going to do a lot of pen work. I can always go back and forth too. You don't always have to do all of the watercolor. You can go back and forth. Okay, so we'll get our pens out. And let's see what we can do. Sepia, maybe? Or black. I think I will do black, but I'm going to use a 3. See how this works. I'm just going to do a bit of detail work. I'm not going to outline everything, but I will put in more or less shadowed areas first to see what I need. her twig hair, or whatever you want to call it. There'll be more outlining of that, just so that I can show that it's twigs. But and then I'll get a really fine liner and do the body as if it's kind of woodish texture to it. You don't have to do that if you're, it's whatever you want to do on yours. I just want her, oh, sorry, to have a kind of a wood twig look to her. She's camouflaged. If you want to put regular hair on, change up the traceable. That's fine. I just gave you the traceable to use either as is, or you can change it up. So play with it, enlarge it, whatever you want to do. And this is my own drawing. It's not traced from anything, it's just something I made up. Your fingers will be darker. I'm going to make them actually black on the ends. And her little feet. Anywhere where it would shadowed, you can put a line in there. Just gives it more shadowed area look. Let's see, their wings. Now I could go back over parts of this with gouache if I wanted to. That might be kind of fun to do. I'm going to give her some veins in her wings. You can make them into dragonfly wings. You could actually even do butterfly wings. That's totally up to you. Thanks, Kathleen. Let's see, under here would be darker, be shadowed, so I'll use more pen work under here. Wherever there's like overlaps of the leaf. Veining too could be done in the pen work. Just kind of have to play with it. Scribbles. Hey, Dot. And then I can just put the lines in that you would see on the stem. In the darker areas. So it's kind of I don't know. You see the grain on these. So lots of marks in the wood. So depending on how much detail you want, depends on how much line work you put in. So it's up to you. Myself, I like detail. I'm a detailed person. Pretty well on everything. It just takes hold of me. Now we'll see what we can do for the pumpkin. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. If I want to put gouache on some of this, maybe. It does need something else. Could just do a bunch of lines on the areas too, outlining some of the speckles that it has. That might be kind of cool. Let's try that. Sometimes they have lumps on them too. We could do that. Make some lumps. Okay. Add some more paint too. That might look cool. Some just rough scribbles, basically. Okay, we can fill in some of these a little darker. Just add some line work where the thicker stems would be in her hair. Darker areas, shaded areas. Put as many stems as you want. Now, let's get a fine, detailed so I want a number 0.1, and we're going to do the body. So I want kind of looking like wood. So her shoulder here, let's go in a circle. So that it's kind of wood look. And her arms or anything long would be barkish looking. This is how I want to do this. So just long squiggly lines on her area that's wood. And her hip here would have a knot look to it. And long lines down her body. Her knees will have the circles. And then the lines down her leg to make it look kind of barkish. And just putting a little more where there's shaded areas would be, just to separate the areas a little bit. There. So I could go back in here and put in more if I wanted to paint. I think her feet are going to be dark too. I don't think I'll put too much on her face though. Maybe the tips of her ears will be black. And I'm going to put maybe a few more thinner lines in the wings. A few in here. And some lines in here, maybe a bit of shadowing right there, darken it a little bit. Like I said, you can go crazy with this shadowing, and depends how much you want to put in to your drawing. If you're happy with just doing a little bit, that's fine. I just like experimenting, really. See what I can do. A little darker under her arm here. I think it needs it. Maybe a little more there. Her butt. All right. Oh, thanks, Devin. Hi, by the way. Now, let's see what else can we do here. Do some more. I think I'm going to get some gouache out. I'm going to put a little bit of white. Let's see. Poster. So I have some of this Shinhan professional poster. And let's see, a real small brush. I'm just going to give her a little bit of a highlight on her nose, and let's see if I can get that. Maybe a few highlights on her hair here. And I think I'm going to use some white in here. I'm going to see what it does, how much. I want it watered down a little bit just to lighten some of these areas. More or less on the tops. Some of these areas. Just so and then I can always go back if I don't like it and add more green. I want kind of some of the area to be a little bit lighter, and this is actually the water soluble one, so the green will seep through this a bit. That's fine. Then it'll give you kind of a muted green shade. which is good. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing this and I'm out of view. Sorry. So I just went over with kind of a washed out bit so that the green still kind of shines through it a little bit. And then I'm going to take some of that Daniel Smith green, the green apatite, and just do a little bit of shading with a, do I have one? I'll try it with this brush. Just want a little bit of shadow. So I just put that green on one side of this flat brush. And wherever there's the rib, or whatever you want to call it, you can put some of this on it. It just gives it a little bit of a shadowed. Alright. Oop. Okay, and then let's see, I think I wanted to put some splatters on there. Let's take a big brush. Let's see. Maybe a fan brush would work better. Let's take this one. So again, some of that darker green. She's a stick one, Dot. They can't be too overweight because then she wouldn't be able to fly. You could, I'm going to just pat some of this so it gives you a little different variance in color. I'm going to leave those and let's dry it. It'll bring you out a little bit. Girl, God. That's funny. That's fairy magic. They can eat as much as they want, but they don't gain weight. And another way to make speckles, if you wanted to do a bigger pumpkin, is you can put a really dark color on and then dry it and then sprinkle some water over top of it and then take your Kleenex or whatever and pat up the speckles of water and it'll leave your pumpkin speckled. It looks really cool. What else can we do here? I think she needs a little bit more. A little more shadow in here, I think. Some dark. Should she have any green on her? Her eyes need to be darker in there. And what else? Maybe a little bit of shadow is in her cheek here. Some green in her hair, maybe. A little bit of green on her shoulders, maybe. And let's see, I'm going to fix her just too much white, I think. So cover that up with a bit there. That's better. And I'm going to put a little bit of that white. Just on here a little bit. Lighten this up. Some of the wet edges might be a little bit faded looking. That'll mix in with the color again, so lighten that area. Just gives it a little bit, dulls it down a little bit. Oh, maybe some, yeah, maybe a little bit more on the stem, on highlight parts of the stem. So let's see, the lightest areas, which would be, you don't need a lot, and it will, again, start to blend into the paint that's there on the page. Just gives it a little extra depth. And some of this area. Well, thanks, Lena. Thanks, Joan. It's fun. Just see what you can do with them. You can change her up however you want to make yours. Go for it. So I don't know if you guys want to continue doing this type of work for the rest of October. I love fairies. I think they're fun, and you can make them into all kinds of situations too. Little flowers, you could do sprites, you could do little gnomes and whatever. So today is the 5th. So Fairies in Sticky Situations series. Yeah, that would be a good one. Okay, yeah, okay, guys, give me some ideas. Put them in the comments below of what a sticky situation would be to you, and I will put a bunch of them together. So make sure you comment. Let me know what you want to do. Oh, you're welcome, Dot. They're fun. You know, just think outside the box. So I'll let you guys go and get your books out. See what you can do. You don't have to use watercolor. If you want to use colored pencil or just sketch, you can do that. Graphite would be cool. You could also do acrylics, whatever you want. Just give it a go. See what yours will come out like. And you print them off. You could just glue it into your page if you don't want to trace it. Just work on the paper that you print them off on. So I'll let you guys go, and you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you Thursday. I've got a scarecrow painting to do already, and I'll also list that in the members stream. So be sure to check out the members comment or community page, because that's where I post all the links for all these traceables. So we'll see you all later, and have a fantastic day. Bye for now.